Hello, hello everyone. How are you doing? So we are here on live today. Hello everyone. I'm I'm so sorry. I was here online and then everything started to work here. And anyway, so let's go back to the live session here. So today we are going to talk with two career consultants and one mindset transformation specialist. I'm very excited to welcome they all here. They are already here. I will put they in few minutes, in few seconds actually, to talk about them, okay, and how couple of tips they can share with us about CV, LinkedIn, and also the most important, at least for me, mindset. Okay, so I will welcome you guys. So welcome to the stage, Carla Martins,
Hi, guys.
Najar, and Daniela Honorio. So welcome. How are you doing?
Hello.
How good?
Hello.
Hi.
Great to be here today, tonight.
Yeah, tonight. So
Doesn't look like what it is.
yeah, today it's awesome outside, but the window here is closed. Anyway, so I'm very excited to have you all here today. So it's a pleasure because I admire each of you. You know already because I have mentioned it a couple of times. So I just before we start to go to the questions and etc., I want to ask each of you to introduce a little bit about yourself. So maybe can I start with you, Carla? Can you introduce about yourself,
Yeah.
please?
Yes. So, I'm a rapid transformational therapy and coaching, also a neuroscientist. So I work with the mind. I go through the root cause of whatever is blocking you. In this case, something might be blocking you for getting your dream job. So I just go there and make sure that we are reprogramming your mind just to get the most of you. So empower your mind to make your dreams come true. And so I'm in Ireland for 8 years ish, and I've been in the position to look for jobs as well, and not in the therapy industry as well. So I know the struggle, I know how it hurts, and how hard it is to get there.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that you're going to give to us a lot of guidance and help us to, with this problem. Anyway, so Danny, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. But first, I'd like to know who are the people who are in this live too. So I'm going to tell you about myself, but I want to know where the girls are from, what are the areas. So pop in the chat and let me know as well, so we can, talk about your areas, talk about your countries, etc., etc. Because
Yeah.
we have people here from different countries as well, right? So yeah, I'm Daniela. I am a career consultant. I'm based in Ireland. I was about to say Dublin, but I'm not in Dublin. I always say that. I'm in Ireland countryside, and I'm also a recruiter. So now I'm not a full-time recruiter. I just do some freelance sometimes. But I've been working, well, I had been working as a recruiter full-time for 4 years in Ireland and then 5 years back in Brazil. Recruiter for many different companies, multinationals, and now I'm full-time working as a career consultant. I also came to learn English, study English, worked in different kind of jobs in the first years, as most of us did. I don't know about everybody here, but most of us, and then I found my dream job, and now I'm helping people to get their dream job as well.
That's awesome. So thank you so much for introducing yourself.
And
So
where
now,
are the girls? They're not commenting, or I'm not
oh,
seeing.
oh yeah, I just saw here Fabiana Andrade. She said that she's from Brazil and she's visiting.
Ah,
I know her.
okay.
She's
You
our
cannot
friend.
see the comments. Let me
Yeah,
check.
guys, please comment to us.
Oh yeah, I just saw that now. Sorry, I was in private chat. Like we have a
Okay.
private chat, I think.
Oh my God, we have
From
one.
Uruguay, you see? Yeah,
Yes,
nice.
awesome. And
I
she's
lived in Uruguay for many years.
hi,
So
Fab.
Really?
we have a colleague for 6 years. I lived there. Yeah.
Oh my God! So you speak Spanish fluently?
She speaks.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Okay. So now, Najara, can we hear a little bit about you?
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me. So my name is Najara Harter. I'm a psychologist, a HR professional with 14 years of experience working for multinationals in Brazil, Mexico, and Ireland. So I lived in Mexico for 3 years.
Wow.
Um, so I moved to Ireland in 2017, uh, and like arriving in Ireland with a student visa with little English. I had to rebuild my career in HR from the ground up, so it was very challenging. And after all that, I got all my experience in HR, and today I help Brazilians to face all the challenges and build their careers with confidence and strategic planning in Europe and in Ireland, especially.
So, as everybody can see here, we are in very good hands because they are awesome. They have a very good background. They are experts. Anyway, I just realized that I didn't introduce myself, so I need to think about people that will see it later and don't know anything about me at all. So who I am Paula Pacheco. Today I'm HR director at a tech company, and I'm also professional coach and leader of this wonderful community that's called Girls Who Plan Ahead. And I built it almost 3 years ago. We're gonna complete 2 years in May. So here at the community, we talk a lot about career, and that's why we are here with these wonderful professionals. And I have a couple of questions to make to them today that probably gonna help you to gain some insights and know what you have to do regarding your CV, LinkedIn, and also the most important, as I said earlier, the mindset. So let's start, girls. Are you ready? I hope so. Okay, so this night I will make a couple of questions for them, as I mentioned, and I will start with Daniela and Najara because they are career professionals and they work a lot with CVs and LinkedIn's. So my first question for you two is, um, any of you can answer, and both of you. So just be free. Okay. So, what was the biggest challenge you faced when building your professional brand or navigating the Irish job marketing? Because I know that when you arrived here, you are not doing what you're doing today. So, please let me know what was the biggest challenge for you.
Do you want to start, Manjaro, or I start? It's up to you.
I don't mind.
Yeah. Okay, start. I think the biggest challenge for me was the English first. I had a good English. Like today, I know I had a good English, but at the time, back in the day, like I thought my English wasn't enough. So I was always struggling to go for interviews, a lot of fear during these processes, and that blocked me many times. In terms of going to the interview, performing well, and out being like an outstanding candidate. And also, the biggest challenge was to believe that my experience from Brazil was valuable in Ireland. Like, even though people told me that, it was very, very hard to believe because I was like nearly 3 years out of my area, like out of my professional area, doing other kind of jobs, and stuff like that. So, and as I said, I always say in my Instagram and in my lives, like my experience from Brazil was very old school. Say, like I've never recruited for multinational companies, or I never used LinkedIn, and I was a recruiter in Brazil. So it was very, very old school. So I never thought I would use this experience here, to be a recruiter here. And that was one of the biggest challenges. So when I finally understood that and I started, using that experience in my favor, things started happening. Yeah.
Awesome. So was something similar for you, Najara, or different?
There are some similarities there. So when I arrived in Ireland, I had very little English, very limited vocabulary, so it was very challenging. So in Brazil, I was an HR professional recognized already, and when I arrived in Ireland, because I work in multinationals, my first thought was once I learn English, the processes are kind of similar, so it's going to be easy to go back to HR in Ireland because it is only English.
Mhm.
I was very naive. So it wasn't like that. So the challenges are a lot more. So I had to learn English, face all the difficulties because you have to insert, and then you start doubting yourself. The same thing that Danny said, like you start even doubting that your experience back in your country is even valid. So we have to overcome all these insecurities so we can find our feet when we are in Ireland. So I had to work as a nanny, as a carer, to be able to rebuild my career in Ireland. So 2 years after I arrived in Ireland, I was able to go back to HR basically. So it took a little bit, but yeah, like with the strategy, and LinkedIn is awesome, so it helped a lot. And the network.
Oh, it's a power. It's a power. I just say, I have a say actually. At least for me, uh, once my English starts to improve, the different doors start to open for me. So yeah, English is a key, but cannot stop ourselves if we don't think that's enough, because we always can improve during our work. So Carla, I think you can also answer this question. So what was the biggest challenge
yeah.
for you?
And so when I came here, I was very confident. I was thinking, I was a little bit naive because I thought, okay, I have a good level of English. I can speak Spanish. I can speak Portuguese. So I have a little bit of language. But then I got loads of interview when I got here, and I had a student visa. But then I got to the block. Okay, we don't do sponsorship. And then for me, I was getting very frustrated because I needed a sponsorship and I didn't want to be a student for longer. So I was struggling and then knocking doors, and then I was okay. I'm determined. I'm gonna learn everything that is required to get a sponsorship. It didn't work either. So my mind was like just working against me because I felt very inferior to them. Like I'm not European. I'm not getting anything. So I started to diminish myself. That's very hard in this process, and I thought it was impossible. And because I didn't have my passport, it was like, who is going to give me a sponsorship? No one. And then years were passing, and I was 3 years already living here as a student. I did 2 years of English, and then another year for a master degree, and nothing was happening. I was like, okay, so this is the moment. Nothing's happening. And then I was feeling very, very frustrated. And then also I was going to interviews and I was shaking because I've lost all my confidence. I had my career. When I was living in Uruguay, which was the country I was living in last before moving to Ireland, I had my career, and I got here. I was like, you know what? I don't think I am anybody anymore because 3 years have passed. I'm not doing anything with marketing, which I was working with at the moment. I'm not doing anything. No one's going to hire me. So my voice, my inner voice, was so negative all the time. And I was going to interviews. I couldn't even speak English. I could barely speak Portuguese whenever it was the case. And because I was nervous, I've doubted myself so much. That process was hurtful. I even got to the hospital once because I got so excited and that I had like a very high blood pressure because I couldn't do interviews anymore. So my mind was definitely against me at that time. And so whenever I finished my master's degree, I didn't even change for my 1G visa. That was the moment that I got my first sponsorship. But before that, because when I finished, I was like, okay, there's nothing stopping me anymore. I just need to learn how to do interviews, because I told myself, I don't know how to do interviews anymore. Because every time I was going there, I was getting the same answer. I was like, okay, I'm not doing it right. I was doubting myself so much. And I was also feeling, I was looking at them, and then whenever we had a presential, like we had to go to interview, and I was looking at people, I was like, they're not going to get me because they're all European and I'm not. Which is not actually the issue. But then, because people are telling me a lot, sponsorship is not happening. And I was like, okay, so I have no chance. So yeah,
And that
was
it's a change.
And I think
it did, yes. And
you have a question, Angela? Sorry.
no, I have a theory, because when we arrive, we are fresh. We believe that everything is going to happen, so our confidence is here, and our English is down here. And then with the time, our English increases and our confidence decreases.
True.
As we face all the no's and the negatives. It is the opposite. So it's very challenging.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Like I had zero confidence in the end because so many no's, and I was going before COVID. I was going to interviews, and then I remember clearly once they came to me, and then in my CV they have visa and then marking question. I was like, okay, this conversation is gonna be hard, and that was the last one because that was supposed to be the offer letter. And they come with my CV, and I just see written CV with a question mark, and they were talking to me and everything. Do you have a European passport? And I remember doing this. No, I don't. Because I knew where it was going to go.
Now, I just came to my mind here. I want to ask you all, guys, you that are here on live with us. Do you need a work visa? Have you ever faced something like we are mentioning here? Fear, like not feel that our background in Brazil worse. So if you ever have felt in this way, please let us know here in the comments. And if you also have questions, just leave the questions here. I will get back to Instagram and also here on YouTube to see the comments and to see the questions to trying to answer you all, okay? So then, ready for the next question? So here we go. Was there a strategic decision in your career that completely shifted your journey? Najara, Daniela, do you?
For me, I think it was like two main things. One is I decided to study hard, like not only English, but I did the postgraduate diploma in HR. And I think this was like not only the degree in itself, but also a statement to myself and to the market that I was committed to a career in Ireland. And then it is like one step forward because when you are learning English, the main barrier is you need to speak English, you need to communicate, and then they ask you for an education or something in like a acknowledgement in the local market, and then you go and you study your post degree. And then after that is the Irish experience. So you go like bit by bit, overcoming the barriers. So studying the post degree was definitely one strategic decision, one of the most strategic decisions I've made, and also networking. Like since I arrived in Ireland, I was like connecting with people, talking to people all the time.
That's good. Danny, would you like to add something?
Yes. I think for me, I had an European passport, so a little different from the other girls. But still, it was very challenging for me because I didn't have clarity. Like I was totally like in a blackout, say. Like in Brazil, I always worked in HR and recruitment, but I was also a graphic designer at the same time. because I had 2 like degrees, say like not 2 bachelor's degrees, but I did like 2 years course of graphic design and then business administration. And I never left graphic design behind. I was always a freelancer, and I loved that. I always loved like artistic kind of stuff. So I never
That's
stopped.
why your material looks so good.
No. And then, so when I came to Ireland and I started thinking about the next step in my career, I was thinking like, okay, so will I go to HR or graphic design? So this was killing me because I had no clarity and I was applying for both things at the same time. So I had like a generic CV. I didn't know exactly what I really wanted. And then I found out graphic design would be very hard because the softwares I learned from Brazil, they don't really use here. So I had to go back to college, and I didn't want to go back to college. And then I know people may think it's funny to say, but I had my own career consultant, which was another person that helped me to have clarity. And then she said, okay, so look, come here. You don't want to go to college, right? I said, right, I don't want. And then she said, okay, you worked as a recruiter in Brazil. I said, yes, for 5 years. Yes. So tell me a little bit about your experience. So I told her it was very old school and blah, 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 blah. And then she said, okay, you can use that experience in your favor. That's not a problem at all. So we can just tailor your CV for HR and recruitment. Forget about graphic design. I won't even add graphic design in your CV. And you can become a recruiter here. It's the easiest path. It is the quickest path. And you will be hired like in a few months. I was like, okay, that's what I want. I want to be hired. I want to, like for me, it would be okay to go either HR, take the HR pathway, or, graphic design, because I always loved like both areas, so it would be fine, like each of them. But I just didn't want to study again and do all the things again, like college, bachelor's in graphic design and blah, blah, blah. It would be like 4 years studying, So imagine, guys, how important it was for me. I wouldn't have lost 4 years of my life, but I didn't need that, So imagine if I chose to like study 4 years, bachelor's degree, and then start my career all over again as a graphic designer, because really, like, I was a graphic designer in Brazil, but it was also like my portfolio wasn't great. Like the softwares I learned was old school softwares as well. So I had to start from scratch if I chose that, So it would be like, say, 5-6 years for me to be where I was in 1 year in terms of salary, career growth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I believe so much in like having clarity and knowing exactly where you want to go, So that was the biggest strategy, I think.
Yeah, that's so nice that you brought this topic to this session again, to this live again, because I spoke a lot yesterday about clarity. The clarity, when I had the clarity, because I was between just, guys, you can go back and watch all the live yesterday. But I also had kind of a situation as Daniela. I was thinking to go to project management or marketing. But just before I build my CV, I had to make a decision to see which area I should put more effort. So thank you for sharing this, Dani. Very nice. So maybe Carla, maybe you can join this question as well. Have you ever like had to make a decision in your career here in Ireland and it have helped you?
And when I first started, I was sure that I wanted to do marketing. I got lost right after, and because I realized, okay, I'm not happy doing this, because it was all about pipeline and leads and so on. And for me, it wasn't enough at that moment. But then it was right at the moment that I was working on getting to know myself. So I was very immersed in this world of the mind and so on. So it gave me clarity I wasn't actually looking for clarity. I just knew that I wasn't happy, but I thought the issue was the company I was working for, that I thought, okay, maybe I should go for another company. But since I was on a sponsorship, I didn't want to change because that would be too much hassle. But then I was just working my mind because I wanted to get to know myself and I wanted to remove some blocks that I had and everything. So on the way to get to know myself, I've realized that I wasn't happy, not because of the company, but actually because that wasn't my purpose. And I was like, okay, this is not my purpose. So what is my purpose? And then it took me 3 months to get there. And then one day it was literally, okay, my mind is answering me. I think I want to do this. I think I want to be a therapist. That's when I start rebuilding everything. But then I had the first part of the struggle, which was Stanford, and I had my sponsorship, I had everything. So visa-wise, I was okay. So I had one thing less on the list, because I feel like whenever you're changing all the areas of your life, whenever you have to struggle changing careers and then visa and everything, it's just a little bit overwhelming. So that part was done. And then I was like, okay, so I have the time to focus on me. And then New Carla wasn't a good fit for marketing anymore because that wasn't fulfilling me. By the end of the day, I was like, I need more. I feel empty. And that's when I started studying neuroscience and then therapy. And then I was very much into this world. And of course, then it comes to a new struggle because you need to position yourself in a different way in the marketing, because now I want to work for myself. I don't want to work for anyone else. And then I had to recreate everything. So I had to reinvent myself, because I was literally a different person from when I moved in, because we lived so many experiences, but also because I got to know myself deeply. And yeah, so it was like layers of struggles, because whenever you're immigrating into another country, there are those things as well, and then you're changing careers and so on. But when I was working with marketing, one thing that helped me, that a very good strategy, at that time I didn't know what I was doing, but since I was getting very nervous because all the no's I've received in the first write, I just said to myself, you know what, I need to be comfortable doing interviews. So what I did was, I'm going to apply to many roles, and I'm just going to do those interviews because I want to familiarize myself with the interviews, which was actually a great decision, because recruiter was sending me, okay, can you update your CV with all these facts we have in here? So I was updating my CV according to whatever the Irish companies were asking for. And that was getting a lot of attention. And then I was like, okay, I remember that one week I had 7 interviews and I was already working. And I was like, oh, this is working. So this is the way to go. And I wasn't feeling nervous anymore because I was making so many interviews that I was so comfortable in the process. And then people were asking me, okay, I need to update this, update that in your CV. And my CV was getting like very good. I was like, okay, this is the way to go. So yeah, like updating my CV and then getting familiar with the interview, which was making me very nervous, was a very good strategy in the beginning to get my sponsorship.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for sharing, Carla. So this leads us for the next question, because we are going to talk about CV now. So now, Dani and Najara, can you tell us what's the biggest difference between the CV here in Ireland and in Brazil?
Yeah. I start. I talk about good differences, and then I leave other differences maybe to Najara. I don't know.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
or one difference as well. I think one difference is the Brazilian CVs are shorter. Like 1 page is okay. Like to have a 1-page CV in Brazil. While in Europe, most countries of Europe, it's not. Unless you're completely fresh, like you just graduated and you have no experience at all, then you can have a 1-page CV. But in Ireland or in other countries in Europe, it's not common. You should have a 2 to 3 pages CV. That's one big.
I think if I can add is in Brazil, we see that it is more focused on responsibilities and tasks, while in Ireland and Europe is more in achievements and numbers, what you can bring to the table.
Definitely, yes.
That's for me is the most different, because I was very used to just like, okay, create a report, do that. But actually, it's more, what can you bring? Can you, what was like the percent of some improvement you made to the company? Did you ever have
Mhm.
some system? This kind of things for me, it's very different here between Brazil and Europe in general.
Another difference is the personal information. In Brazil, people use like pictures, date of birth, numbers of documents, the national number, the CPF, CPF.
Yeah.
That is the the PPS in Ireland. So in Ireland, you don't provide personal information on your CV, just like your full name and your email, phone number, the way the recruiter has to reach you, and that's it. You don't need to provide information at this stage in the process, not yet. Yeah, another difference.
Yeah, that's a big difference. The layout as well, like I got so many clients that still come with those colorful CVs and like
Canva.
lines and like bars or whatever, little circles, like saying like level of English, and then 5 circles, 3 circles full and 2 circles empty. You know what I mean? Like just to show your level of English. Like the system will never ever read that. So
It's important to say that there is a system called ATS in Europe that is the system that the recruiters use to filter. So imagine like a recruiter is receiving loads of applicants all the time, like 200 for a position. They wouldn't be able to go through all the CVs. So they have a system that help them to filter the most suitable candidates for them. And so the system is actually filtering the CVs, taking into consideration the keywords, the words that they put in the system that are like more like the requirements for the role, let's say.
Mhm.
And if your CV is well designed to go and pass those filters, you are more likely to be successful and to be invited to an interview.
Mhm. Mhm. Just before I move to the next question, I will bring one question here from the audience to our live. So Fabiana, she asked it in the picture, should we put it on CV? And I can answer to you here. Most of the countries, they don't ask for it, but Germany, they do. So if
sometimes
you are,
Portugal as well, no?
sorry.
Portugal? I think Portugal as well. Sometimes.
Mm,
I'm not
okay.
sure, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not sure. I'm not too sure about
oh,
Portugal, but I'm 100% sure about Germany. So
yeah,
if you
Germany.
apply for Germany, you can go ahead and put your photo on CV. But in general, the other countries does not need pictures. But it's good. I will make search about Portugal because I didn't know about that. But Germany, I'm sure.
I don't. When I am doing CVs for people in Portugal, I don't add the photo. But I've heard so many people on the internet saying like, you have to put your photo if you are in Portugal. Like I don't do it, but I've heard so many people
But
saying that.
also,
Yeah,
I believe that depends also the kind of companies you were applying, because if you were applying for multinationals, if it is a multinational that is still in 2025 requesting pictures, for me it's a red flag, because you were being hired because of what you know, your competencies, your experience, not because what you look like.
yeah, totally.
And then this speaks completely like with diversity and inclusion. So nowadays, you hire, take into consideration the experience. You leave the picture for LinkedIn, and
Exactly. I was about to say that. I think it's so old school to ask for photo like anywhere on the CV or when you are doing your application or whatever. Why, if you have a LinkedIn? Like
Yeah, but
you have to add your LinkedIn link on your CV. So if you have your LinkedIn, like they can just check your photo on LinkedIn. That's what I think.
That's totally true. But I need to say as well, just coming here to my mind, if you're applying to be a flight attendant, you have to, because as a flight attendant, I don't know if you guys, I have been in a workshop about flight attendants applications, so I know that they needed to have a picture. That's why I brought it back again. But anyway, in general, guys, don't need a picture, as the late just explained. And that's it for the questions, guys. Keeping coming with the questions. And who is on Instagram? I'm able to see the comments here because I'm with the Instagram open, but I'm not able to pop up here on YouTube because it is not coming to the software I'm using. But if I have a couple of questions here, don't worry, I will answer later your questions. Okay, so I have another question for you, Danny, because as you mentioned here, you were a recruiter. So, as a recruiter, tell me, Danny, what was the main mistakes you have seen on CV?
Main mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Loads of them.
Okay, 2 or 3.
Actually, let me think what the audience thinks. What do you think, guys, are the main mistakes I've seen on the CV? What do you think? Let me see if anybody gets the right answer.
Okay, I'm waiting for
Or
them.
what are the biggest mistakes you committed on your CV? Maybe somebody knows already, because we've talked about layout, 2 to 3 pages, adding results, blah, blah, blah. Maybe somebody knows what
Yeah.
mistakes they're making. So,
Okay, I have one here. Fabiana, she just mentioned that in the
yeah,
past she used to include all her address, so the complete address.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I,
need.
I still see people doing that, to be honest. Yeah. Okay, so let's go. Guys, let's go. Guys, no, girls. We are in a girls live session. Girls, let's go in the chat and add your main mistakes, okay? So we can have some chat.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Tamara here. She said when she used to put her date of birth.
no, never add it. Never, never, never. Okay, so the biggest mistakes I've seen on CVs are generic CVs. So CVs with no focus at all. So I had a video on my Instagram that went viral, and many people commented good and bad things. It was a long time ago, anyways. That like a civil engineer last year, she applied for a data analyst role, for my data analyst role with a civil engineering CV. There was nothing about data analysis, no course, no skills, no keywords, nothing. Only civil engineering experience and degree. And then I asked her, like, why did you apply for my role? Because I knew she was Brazilian. Like I saw she was Brazilian. So I wasn't rude. I was very polite. You know what I mean? I'm just telling this story here. But when I talked to her, I was like, "Hi, how are you? Are you looking to migrate from civil engineering to data analysis?" And then she was like, "Not really. I'm just looking for a job." And then I was like, "Okay, so why did you apply for my role if you are for my data analyst role if you are a civil engineer?" And then she was like, "Oh, because I'm just looking for a job. I just want to have a corporate job." you know and like civil engineering is such a great area. People with no experience can get a job in Ireland. Like if
Mhm.
they have a degree and if they speak English, they can get a job. I know many people that got a job with no experience or like just internship experience from Brazil, 6-month internship, and then they come to Ireland and then they do this learn English exchange program, right? And then they get a job with visa sponsor and everything. So she was like wasting her time and my time, you know.
Mhm.
So like don't that's the biggest mistake is when you are just like applying for all kind of roles with like a very generic type of CV, you have no focus, no direction. So and then you get frustrated because you won't see results. Nobody will call you for interviews, and it's dangerous because you might give up during this process. And imagine a civil engineering giving up in this process. That's so sad, guys. Like, it's
So
really
sad.
sad.
So sad.
The other mistake, lack of keywords. So keywords are very, very, very important. And sometimes we know the person has that experience, but I was chatting with the consultants that work with me last week about that.
Mhm.
Like, sometimes companies, they have such a specific role, like they are looking for an specific experience, and they will only find that if you have this word on your CV or on your LinkedIn. If you don't have that, so say like a project manager with experience in healthcare. Like, if you don't have healthcare word on your LinkedIn and you are a project manager, like, we will never find you, you know?
Mhm.
And sometimes we need that, like a project manager with experience working in hospitals. It's such a niche, like, area, or such a specific profile that we are looking for, but we cannot find because they don't have the keywords, you know. So
Yeah.
keywords is very, very important, and I feel like people still don't know what kind of keywords they should add. And if you want to know, like, search for roles, see what they're looking for, see the words they are using on the job description, ask ChatGPT, and add a lot of keywords on your CV. And as Najara said before, lack of results. So adding only responsibilities and no results at all. Like, when we say results, I know people get scared because, like, oh, what, the question comes to mind, like, what kind of results will I add? Like, I never implemented anything, I never improved anything, I never saved costs. Like, I've never done anything like that when I worked in Brazil. Never done. You think you've never done, but you have done. When you start to think like that, if you just, like, say, created a new Excel sheet to organize something that was completely uh, unorganized, or you just, like, helped somebody to improve the process, like the internal process, like hiring process. For instance, when I started thinking, I, I improved a lot the internal hiring process while I was there. Like, I implemented so many things that I never thought it would count, but I implemented, like, different types of hiring processes, different types of interviews, tests, exit interviews, all these things, like, I implemented, and I never thought I should add this in my CV as a result, but there are all results that you can add. So yeah, just use all your experience in your favor.
Just here from Instagram, I got an answer that um, Ricardo, he committed mistakes on grammar. So that's important as well, guys. If you're applying and it's in English, just be sure that everything is written right. And in order to be sure, just ask a friend to have a look for you, or if you have a constant, just ask for them to have a look. Okay. So just one tip here from me: if you hire someone to make your CV, just be sure before you go for an interview to know everything that's written there. Never just leave the CV and go for an interview without knowing every detail that's on your CV, because they can make a question for you and maybe you want to bring you what they are looking for. So please be careful, because I heard so many times from recruiters. I don't know if Daniela have ever faced it as a recruiter in the past, but that they got the best CV, but when the person was in front of them, they could not deliver what they mentioned in CV. Okay, so anyway, we are going to talk a little bit later here about this interview as well. Okay, so just moving to the next topic here, girls, Najara and Daniela. Do you think that's important to use LinkedIn to position themselves as as a personal professional branding, and also to get a job here in Ireland.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like I started using LinkedIn in 2011, so many years ago. And I can see that the tool has evolved a lot throughout the years, and now it is more about showing who you are as a professional and connecting with people. And when we talk about Ireland, like it's such a small country, uh, who you are and who you know counts a lot. So being able to connect with the right people to strengthen your networking and tell people what you are looking for, it's very important. And especially us as like as immigrants in another country that we have to restart our careers. uh, LinkedIn is a very powerful tool where you can find everyone and target your audience and reach what you want.
And would you like to add anything here, Danny?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is a great platform. I got my job through LinkedIn. I applied for the job and then I sent a message to my ex-boss and to the recruiter that actually did the first interview with me. And then I did the second interview with the CEO that was my ex-boss. So it worked for me, and it worked for many of my clients as well. So LinkedIn is not just an electronic CV, it's social media for professionals. So, as the same way you keep connecting with people on Instagram, following people on Instagram, you should do the same on LinkedIn. Like follow people that are from the same area that you are, see what they're posting, what they're talking about, follow companies, connect with people, send them messages. You don't need to send messages only to the recruiters. You can send to people that are similar of what you are looking for. So say I was a recruiter and I wanted to, well, I was looking for a recruiter job. So I started connecting with other recruiters and just, like mainly Brazilian recruiters. And then asking them, like how they got their job, how was the recruitment process here, if I had to know something that I didn't know before going to an interview for a recruiter role, and then started saying, like telling me things, like important things, and then, yeah, so I think it's very important.
Thank
And
you.
one of the biggest fears I get from clients is the mindset that I'm afraid of contacting people, of being rejected, and we have to be aware that LinkedIn is a platform for networking, so everyone there should be open to connect and to give advice. And usually, when you approach people in a nice way, in a polite way, valuing their experience and asking for help, they are likely to help you and to give you valuable advice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I have a question here from Aline. So I don't know who wants to answer it, maybe Carla, but how do we stay motivated during long job searches? So who wants to answer
So
it?
motivation, I can answer that. I was actually answering in my mind already because this is very important for so many areas of our lives. Like either you want to go to the gym, you want to eat healthy, or all those things. And people say, oh, I don't have the motivation to do that. You won't have it most of the time because your mind is always looking for whatever it's pleasure. And if you require motivation, it means that it's not pleasure enough. Like it's very easy to stay all day in bed watching Netflix. You don't need motivation to do that. The only thing you need to do, you just press the button and go to Streamline, and then sometimes it's just hard to get the movie chosen. But whenever we're doing something that requires more energy, requires more of our mind, and like going to the gym, like eating healthy, whatever it requires you to get out of your comfort zone, motivation won't be there all the time. But whatever you have to focus on is on the reward. So it's a delayed reward. And that will cause you to get, whenever you feel like, oh, I don't want to do that, just focus. Sit for a moment and then close your eyes for a few seconds and just imagine your life with that dream job. That should be your motto, not exactly your motivation, because motivation it's going to be hard on you, but then it will be your motto. And then whenever you get your reward, that you get your dream job, and then you sign your offer letter and you say that worth it. So that's the delayed reward. So your rewards were delayed because you had to work hard out of your comfort zone and you had to actually fight motivation because it was just there sleeping, doing nothing. But then whenever you get the reward, your self-esteem is also stronger because you could do that. You were capable of getting that done. So don't count on motivation, but think about the reward. That will get there.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Girls,
Very good.
I really like it.
Yeah, I think going towards what Carla was saying, so when I was working as a carer, I remember like being asked because we were going in the client's house to mind elderly people. So sometimes the family would come to me and ask like, "Can you clean the toilet? Can you scrub the tiles? Can you?" And I was, oh my God, like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing that to myself? Like, like you start questioning, you start crying, like, I want to go back home. I have my career there in Brazil. Like, why am I here going through all this? And it is the moment that you start questioning yourself and you lose motivation because it is very hard. It is a hard weather because I like it is this wind blowing on your face that I used to say that it's like a slap on your face, the wind in Ireland. Plus all the hard work you have to do in the beginning, and then all the negatives you get from the interviews. It is very hard the beginning, the start. And if you have the motto, like Carla said, like what is driving you? Like, no, I have to come back to my center and see what I have in the future. No, I want to get my job in HR. I want to go back to my professional area. And then when the years go by and then you finally get that job, I will look behind and say, oh my God, it was worth it. Yeah.
Danny, would you like to add anything here about motivation? Or we can go to the
No,
next?
I think they said everything, but yeah, I mean, sometimes we start doubting ourselves in the process, during the process, because I know, because I'm dealing with this every day with my clients, so I know it's so hard when you receive like the no from that company that you thought you'd get the yes. You went until the final stage, talked to everybody like 5 rounds or whatever, and then at the end they say sorry, we forward with another candidate. To know you more, blah blah. We wish you success. You know, I know it's very very hard, and it makes us think twice, like about ourselves, like literally doubt about ourselves. Like, okay, am I good enough? Is that actually for me? Am I gonna get this? I think maybe it's just for other people, but not for me. So all these questions start coming to our minds. It came to mine, and maybe it came to yours. But we just need to keep talking to ourselves, like like there are two voices in your head. So just say like, yes, I am capable. Maybe that wasn't the right time, but I'm going to do that again. I'm going to apply again and participate in another hiring process, and I'm going to get this job. you know yeah, so just keep resilient in the process, and sometimes just take a break. It's important to take a break. I tell this to a lot of my clients when they are exhausted. So say like they participated in 2 or 3 hiring processes at the same time and none of them worked. They are like literally exhausted. So I just tell them, look, take a break, stop applying for 1 or 2 weeks, do something that you really like because you did a great job. Like imagine participating in 3 hiring processes, or even 2, or even 1. you know you're already like a legend, you know, like you're participating hiring process in European companies, you know, in English, in your area, something that you've never done in Europe before, you know. So you're already like, well done, you know, to you guys. So just take a break and then come back fresh.
Yeah. So I got some other questions here, but that's related to the next topic. So interviews. What do you two think? And ask Carla if she wants to join. But Carla, the question I have here is for you, so maybe wait because it's very nice. Um, so maybe Dani and Najar can answer this question, and you go for the next one. So, what do you think, guys, that what they need to do in order to be well prepared for interviews?
I think study the company, obviously. You know, most of people like they don't know nothing about the company, about the role. Like we just are in a call and then we are talking about the role and they have no clue like what the role is asking for, what are the main skills that the role is asking for, experience that the role is asking for, you know. So study the role, study the company, and obviously, as Paula said before, like study your CV. I always tell my clients, like, because I like to make very complete CVs. I always tell my clients, like, think that your CV is your cheat sheet, you know. So just know everything that is in your CV and use that like as a PowerPoint or something. You know what I mean? That's your presentation. You just need to present what is in your CV, you know. And obviously work on self-confidence, work on your English, on vocabulary. I myself, like, I did a lot of online courses, and that helped me a lot to get prepared as well for interviews, because I learned new vocabulary in recruitment, in HR, doing these courses, you know. And also knowing the methods that are used here, you know, like STAR method, how to answer interview questions using the STAR methods and other methods as well. Yes.
Very nice. I would like to add anything, Najara.
Yeah, just sorry, my mind went here because kids is screaming in the background. I just lost concentration for a
It's okay.
bit.
I can questions for Carla if you want.
No, but I think having your stories well prepared and be flexible to answer, like sometimes if someone had like a case for like time management, and then they get stuck in this one specific case, and then if the question is asked in a different way, they just freeze. Like if you have your like professional experience in your stories, but you were able to adapt and adjust according to the interviewers questions, is much better. Like you have like a box, let's say, with all your stories there, and then according to what they ask, you can just grab one here, one there, and use it to on your favor.
Yeah, amazing. So Carla, question for you. Here we go. So Carla, how can we train our mind to not feel fear doing an interview or in our life as well? But let's go to interview. Talk about interview.
Yeah, sure. So your mind has the mission, or either there are two missions your mind is trying to do for you: protect you from something and punish you for something if you feel like you don't deserve something, or prioritize you for something. So you must ask yourself, and this exercise of asking questions to yourself, it's very valuable, because if you're asking open questions, and for example, what is this fear is telling me? What is this trying to tell me, or what is it trying to teach me? Because there is a mission for the fear. Most of the time it's trying to protect you from something. So if you get there, for example, and I had one client that we were working specific for this, because She had her CV amazingly well, but her mind was working against her. And then every time she was going to interviews and she failed. And it was like, there's something wrong with my CV. And then we went to a session to her subconscious mind. Her subconscious mind told her, you know what? When you were a kid, you were hearing your stepmother telling you, you're not good enough. You cannot do anything right. Everything you do is wrong. So her mind believed that because ever since she was 3 years old, she was doing with that. And then whenever she was here, she was struggling and she was going to interviews for the first time. And then the second interview, nothing happened because she believed in that, right? So you need to tell a different story. First, you need to identify what is this fear telling you to. So you have to understand, okay, what is this trying to teach me or tell me or either punish me? Ask your mind, what is this trying to tell me? What is this fear for? What am I afraid of in the end? And most of the time, it tell you, okay, you're not good enough. I don't want you to fail. And after you do that, every time the fear comes, you have to tell your mind, you know what? I'm going to ask you to leave because I'm good enough. I'm perfect for that. And then get your CV. And for specific for this, get your CV. That's one of the exercises I do with my clients. Read your CV, see how capable you are. See how amazing you do. Sometimes you don't have those experience that is asking your CV, but you know how to do it because you don't have to have done before to know how to do it. Some things, and that happened to me. I knew a lot of things and I knew I could do it. I just haven't done officially in a job, but that doesn't mean you cannot do it. So you tell yourself, like, be your own interviewer and then say, you know what? I can do all those things. So I am good enough. I can. And that's why I'm going to ask you the fear just to leave me and not to come back. He will come back. He will try to come back as many times as it's needed because there is a mission to protect you, maybe. And as many times as it comes, you're going to have this conversation. You know what? Thank you for protecting me. I'm going to ask you to leave and not to come back. And then you win it. At one stage, it's going to be so easy. It's not going to be like you're talking to the fear from inside of you. It's going to be out already. But it requires you to do that many, many times because the mind learns from repetition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much, Carla. So I have one question here. I think about just going back a little bit about the CV. I will answer this question and then I go for the next ones for Carla. And we are almost done, guys. So stay here. And that's the last question we are going to answer from you guys. So as I said before about the linking the CV and the identity results on your CV, I think it's more about self-knowledge. Can you talk about simple tasks that we can do to find the results in the past? So for me, what I did, and it worked very well, I talked with a couple of friends that used to work with me in the bank and the other companies that was a long time ago, and I was not able to remind what I was doing at the time. And when I had this conversation with him, then it was very like easy for me to put everything on my CV. I think that was the question, and that's what I did for my CV and also for see what kind of results I could include in my interview process, and also what kind of histories I could also add more value to my interviews. So that's what I did. I just contacted the network I had when I was working in a bank and the other companies as well. And then they helped me to remind what I was doing at the time and what were my achievements. So this helped me a lot. I hope I answered your question. So, Carla, just one question more for you. Let me see here what I will ask because I think we answer almost everything. So, okay, can take choice of Ubuntu. Okay, that's very good here. So, Carla, what's the first emotional step someone can take to start rebuilding their confidence? Because for me, I want to bring this question here to the conversation because for me, when I started to make my confidence more strong, I started to believe more in myself. But is there any tool you can maybe share with us, or um, I just want to listen from you? What would it
Yeah,
be?
so the power of asking yourself and also closing your eyes for a bit and just tap to your emotions, right? So there is one breathing, you can breathe into 4 and then hold into 4 and then let it go into 4. So do that a couple of times, but put an intention to it. Before you start the breathing, you want to know, like, how can I grow? You always make those questions like this, like, how can I grow my confidence? How can I, or even build my confidence? Believe me or not, it's bigger the amount of people who doesn't have it at all than some that just wants to increase it. Most of us at some stage had almost nothing about confidence, right? So whenever you ask those questions and you understand where it's coming from, and believe me, your subconscious mind, it will give you the answer. But then there is one specific time of the day that is the most powerful of all for you to make questions, is before you go to bed. Before you go into bed, and you have, if you take a shower before you go to bed, for example, have a shower, you're in bed, your brain waves are getting lower and lower, so you're more responsive. Your subconscious mind is at the stage where it absorbs everything that you're telling. For example, whenever we're watching a movie and go straight to bed after, a lot of times we're dreaming about it, or we're thinking about the last thing we're thinking during our last conversation, or whatever it is that you do for last. That's the thing that your subconscious mind will process before you go to bed. So whenever you just bring a question before you go to bed, how can I increase my confidence? It will give you the reason why is it that you're doing that. But then it comes to another step. You must change your self-talk, because everything comes down to, before I think, first I think, and then I feel it. And then for last, I become that person. So there's no such a thing, oh, I'm so silly. No, don't say that. Oh, I'm so clever. Start changing those. Because if you're saying now, oh, I'm so silly, and then you keep saying, because it gets familiar, the silly word in your mind, and your mind keep repeating, and then after all you start feeling, oh, I feel silly. Before you were just thinking, and then you start feeling it, and then you become a silly person. And then you thought, why did I become this person? Because you start thinking. So ask questions to your mind, enjoy that moment. And there's a second moment which you're very receptive, whenever you're in the shower. Whenever you're underwater, your mind relaxes and your brain waves goes lower and lower. The lower your brain waves, more receptive you are for getting everything from your subconscious. And your subconscious knows everything from you more than you do. It's all in there. And it will give you answers. I was wondering, I was making jokes when I was working with marketing before, because I was saying I need a board that is waterproof, because I was having so many ideas when I was in the shower, and I had no idea why, because I was leaving shower and then gone. My ideas weren't there anymore. It's like, why is that? I need a board. Like, it needs to be waterproof, because I need to get my ideas written. And then now I know it is because I was so receptive to all those talks. So instead of reliving a fight that you had with your husband, or at that moment that your kid made you crazy, don't relive those moments when you're in shower, neither before you go into bed, but just give it a purpose, and then make your thoughts become your feelings, and then become you. But then you have to start thinking positive about yourself. Don't talk to yourself the way that you wouldn't talk to anyone, with your mouth. Like, you wouldn't talk to your husband, with your best friends, or to whoever, the way you were talking. So don't talk to yourself either, because your mind believes everything you say.
I love that.
Those are the tips.
I really love that. I want to do it straight away. I want this like finish, because but thank you so much, Carla, for sharing this advice. I'm sure I will do this tonight. So just before we wrap up, I want to make a question for all of you, and I hope you all can participate in this question, because it's very important. Very important. So, what advice could you give today for someone that's watching our live here, our live here today, to help them to not be stuck, to not hold their self, and just go and do whatever they need to do to achieve what they are looking for? So, please, can you give the advice for them?
Okay, go first.
I'd say to celebrate the small steps, because sometimes we think in the big pictures and we forget to celebrate the way. And also, like, we think like in the big goal, and and it seems so far away that we think like, oh no, like I need to be there. But while you were here, there are so many people that are back there wanting to be where you were today. And each step counts. So if, like Dani said, if you did like one interview process today, this week, like be proud of that, honor who you are, and then go to the next one. Be happy where you are, and go bit by bit, like step by step. And once you look, you're going to be where you want.
Thank you, Najara. I love that as well. Yeah, it's very powerful to celebrate ourselves. And I always say it to the community, please share, because you can make people to be inspired about your journey, and also celebrate. Celebration for me also is the key. So when we celebrate it together, it's powerful. So Dani, Carla, who is next?
Carla wanted to say something, I think, at the beginning.
Go, Carla.
Yeah, I was enthusiastic with the mind, but I'll say something. And sometimes we're focusing on step number 10, but we just forget that we first need to take step number 1, because whenever you look to step number 10, it is overwhelming, and then that's where you tend to get lost. That happened to me, and I was so focused on getting my work visa and everything, but I didn't even start doing the interview first. So of course everything will be overwhelming. So take one step at a time. But then also believe, because we were 4 of us here, we've been through some of the struggles that you're in, for sure. Even if we didn't mention, it wasn't easy for us to get here and share those experiences with you. So just believe, because you can change your inner conversation. You can, but also think it's just one step at a time. First, I need to get step 1. And then when you get step 1, step number 2, and then you go. And then only there, when you're step number 9, you think about step number 10, not before that, or you're going to get too overwhelmed.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you, Carla. Thank you. Thank you so much. Dani?
Jesus Christ, you said so many great things that I don't even know what to say anymore.
You certainly do. Come on.
You left with no words. No. Well, it's actually similar to what you said, but I think there are 3 very important pillars in this process. So one is clarity. When you have no clarity, you will procrastinate, because there's no way of taking an action on something that you don't even know what you want or what to do. Have a very good reason. Like, what's the reason you want to stay in Europe? What's the reason you want a visa? Like, what's the reason you want your dream job? Like, do you want to have a good salary? Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to bring your family? Do you want to provide a quality of life to your family? Or what exactly do you want? Because the dream job is just a bridge for something bigger. Nobody wants to work just for work. We don't really like to work, even if that's the dream job. Like, there will be one day that you'll be stuck in this dream job and you'll be like, shit, I don't want this anymore. Because we will never stay in the same job forever. Like, our grandparents maybe did that, back in the day, but today it doesn't happen anymore. So if you don't have a very good reason behind this process, you will give up, you won't be resilient, and you will feel tired. And then the second, you need to be ambitious. Ambitious? Is that right? Ambitious? Yeah.
They got it. I'm
sure. Got it.
Right word. What's the right word for it? Ambitious.
Oh, it's ambitious.
I think it's ambitious. Yeah, ambitious. You're right.
Yeah, ambitious. So I need to be ambitious, because I know, like, we were born in a country that this is not nice. It's a lot about culture. It's a lot about fear. It's a lot about thinking about what other people will think about me, because I want more. I want salary in euro. I want to live in Europe. I want to have a very nice job. I want to have a very nice house, and what's the problem with that? But some people will say that's a problem. And usually these people are the ones that have nothing, have achieved nothing. And then you follow these people and will be the same. So just be ambitious. Don't be afraid in terms of, wanting the best for your life, wanting the best for you. Don't accept the minimum in your life. You just need to keep like looking. I mean, obviously in a healthy way. Like there is the unhealthy way of doing that as well. But if you are on a healthy way, like I want the best for me, I want the best for myself, I want the best for my family, I want the best for my children. I want the best for whatever, like for my house, and you just go for it. So I think clarity, being ambitious, and being resilient during the process. When you have a reason, you'll be resilient. Is very, very important. And obviously, having a great CV in LinkedIn and be prepared for interviews.
Yes.
That's one thing that Dani was mentioning. If you can see it in your mind, you can touch with your hands. So visualize it, and you can grab it.
Yeah.
Hey,
You said Paula.
yeah, and no, it's like as the girls were talking, it reminded me of a sentence, a phrase here that I wanted to share to close. It is actually from the To You from staff, but the phrase is don't compare your first chapter to someone else's 10th chapter.
Yeah. Very, very
true.
And there will be always someone more than us, and not less, but that is a little behind. You know what I mean? Like there will be always, even if you're like a
different part of the journey.
Yeah, like even if you're a millionaire, you find a billionaire, and then you feel poor beside the billionaire because you're just a millionaire. You know what I mean? This person. So we will always have this. Like somebody will be a little behind, and somebody will be a little forward, and you just don't have to compare yourself with anybody else. Like I like to compare myself with who I was 5 years back, like 10 years back. Like guys, 10 years back, I would never ever imagine I would be here in Ireland doing what I'm doing. Never. So like when you
That's a great comparison to do.
to comparing that, and I think like the years go so fast. So I'm 31 now. So imagine like when I'm 41, I keep thinking like, Jesus Christ, hopefully I will be flying, because if when I was 21, I never imagined I would be here today. Like imagine when I am 41, like that's what I hope
like
things. So,
yeah.
yeah, so I think, like when you start to think like that, you get more motivation, as the other person said as well, just to keep going and make this happen.
100%. 100%. So, girls, thank you for all. Oh, sorry. I don't know what's going on here in my head. So, thank you once again to be part of this live today, because it was very valuable, and I'm pretty sure that everyone here gains a lot of insights, and probably they will do something for their career as well. So, just before now, it's true we are ending this live, but how people can find you guys on Instagram and LinkedIn? Start with Carla. How people can find you, Carla?
Yes, you can find me. I am Carla Martins. That's my Instagram, and soon I'll be on LinkedIn as well. But for now, that's where you can find me.
Thank you so much. And you, Daniela?
Just how is here, like DH Digital Careers. You can find me on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. And you, Najara?
So it's najara.harter in Instagram. So my name dot my surname, and on LinkedIn is Najara Harter.
Great.
I wait for you there.
Okay. So thanks so much, everyone. And for who is here, still here, please don't miss the live tomorrow. Okay. We have prepared these 3 live sessions for you with all the effort to make you to move So I will be waiting for you here tomorrow. So see you guys. Take care.
See
Enjoy.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.